Hey, welcome class, and today I am going to go over the US-Mexican War. So this video lectures complement the PBS series of the US-Mexican War, and I'm going to try to compress the 2 hour long documentary that really deals with the war. So bear with me. I'm going to try to finish this in less than 10 minutes so it's not boring and to the point. So here I go. The US Mexican War of 1846 throughout 1848 became the first US armed conflict fought on foreign soil. The US took advantage of a politically divided and militarily unprepared Mexico against the expansionist minded administration of US President James K. Polk, who truly believed the US had a manifest destiny to spread across the continent to the Pacific Ocean. In order to understand the war, I want to go back 40 years before the conflict with Mexico and explain how westward expansion was the key to the nation's progress. However, this idea of freedom and expansion through progress meant removing anything on its way. And a big part of that were the Native Americans, and the new lands will serve to expand slavery. Yes, that is really horrible. Not to mention also the tremendous ecological damage that it had. For example, the bison were hunted almost to extinction, and the Native American way of life that depended on the buffalo were completely destroyed. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson purchased the territory of Louisiana from the French government for $15 million. The Louisiana Purchase stretched from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and from Canada to New Orleans, and it doubled the size of the US. Now, the US ended up having this chunk of land, and really from 1803, this is the beginning of a massive migration into the West. By 1840, nearly 7 million Americans, 40% of the nation's population, live in the Trans-Appalachian West, following a trail already established by Lewis and Clark's exploration. And most of these people have left their homes in the East Coast in search of new economic opportunities. Many of these pioneers associated westward migration, land ownership, and farming with freedom. The western frontier offered the possibility of independence and upward mobility for all. By 1843, 1,000 pioneers took the Oregon Trail as the part of the Great Immigration. But moving west was really supported by a philosophy that goes by the name of manifest destiny. It was almost religious. In 1845, a journalist named Joe O. Sullivan put a name to the idea that helped pull many pioneers toward the western frontier. He wrote that it was Americans' manifest destiny to carry the great experiment of liberty to the edge of the continent, the survival of American freedom depending on it. And that's how President Polk used the idea of manifest destiny to grab as much land as he could. Because once again, God has chosen the American people to spread out good principles of democracy from the east to the west. Now, at that time, slavery was a huge problem, and expansion also brought problems with the slavery because the question of whether or not slavery will be allowed in the new western states became a political problem in the Congress. In 1820, the Missouri Compromise tried to resolve this question. It had admitted Missouri to the Union as a slave state and Maine as a free state. In that way, it preserved the fragile balance in Congress. More important, it had stipulated that in the future, slavery will be prohibited north of the southern boundary of Missouri, the 3630 parallel, in the rest of the Louisiana Purchase. So anything above the 3630 parallel line was going to be a free state. and anything below was going to be a slave state. Now, we're going to talk about Texas because Texas was not a part of the Louisiana Purchase. And when Texas was added to the U.S., it becomes a huge ordeal. So bear with me, I'm going to explain this better. So the Missouri Compromise did not apply to the new territories that were not part of the Louisiana Purchase. And so the problem of slavery continued to fester as the nation expanded. The Southern economy grew increasingly dependent on King Cotton and the system of forced labor that sustained it. So westward expansion continued as thousands of people crossed the Rockies to the Oregon Territory, which at that time belonged to Great Britain, and thousands more moved into the Mexican territories of California, New Mexico, and Texas. You probably remember as we covered the unit that deals with the Texas colonization, how the American settlers in Texas, with the support of the Tejano, broke away from Mexico. They become an independent republic, La República de Texas, the Republic of Texas, and they petitioned to join the U.S. as a slave state. But because of slavery, Texas ended up waiting almost 10 years to be added as a slave state. And this is done by James K. Polk, who was elected to the presidency in 1844. He already had eyes in California, New Mexico, and the rest of what is today the U.S. Southwest. In February 1846, President Polk added Texas to the Union as a slave state. Then, in June, after negotiations with Great Britain, Polk also added Oregon as a free state in order to preserve the balance of free states and slave states. Polk also offered to buy Mexico, but Mexico turned his offers down. So Polk was really upset, and that's when Polk declared war against Mexico, claiming falsely that the Mexican army, and I'm going to quote, had invaded our territory and shed American blood on American soil. Those were the words of President James K. Polk. The Congress immediately approved the war. The U.S. put in charge three main generals: Zachary Taylor in Texas, Stephen Kearny was sent to California, and Winfield Scott, who went all the way down to Veracruz and marched all the way through reaching Mexico City. I am not going to cover the battles. The U.S. outpowered Mexico, and by the time the war was over, Mexico had lost about 55 of its territory, including nearly all the present-day California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. In 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the war and added more than 1 million square miles, an area larger than the Louisiana Purchase, to the U.S. Rio Grande, or Rio Grande, became the southern boundary of Texas. Mexico ceded California and New Mexico to the U.S. In return, the U.S. paid Mexico $50 million, or about $373 million in today's money. Professor Jacobo, in the next video lecture, is going to cover the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. I hope you enjoy it, and until the next video lecture. Take care.